This is Bryce Van Patten from Metal Express Radio Backstage, and today my guest has made a great splash in the heavy metal scene with her solo album, White Crone, and now has joined forces with a veteran band to take it to the next level. The band is Splintered Throne, and my guest is vocalist Lisa Mann. How's it going, Lisa?
It's going.
Awesome. So if you ran into somebody, who hadn't heard of Splintered Throne, how would you describe the band's sound?
I mean, it fits in that new wave of traditional heavy metal kind of sound, but it's not frozen in time, and it's not a parody of the 80s.
Right.
But it just carries that spirit and the fire on, and it's melodic. So I don't know. Is that too many words? It's not.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Like I usually say, elevator pitch. So you've got 30 seconds to tell somebody what it is. And that covers it pretty good. So you're not Steel Panther.
No, no, not at all. And God bless them and bless these other bands that are, the young guys that are, they watch Stranger Things and they were like, oh, wow, look at that phone with the cord attached and stuff. And they're like, yeah, let's recreate the 80s. Let's do an 80s metal band. We're not those people. We were actually there. We were in the mosh pits. I saw Merciful Fate at the Starry Night.
Awesome.
Ages ago. So, we're that group of people. Now, that band, those guys have been doing this for a lot of years.
Right.
With Brian Garrison on.
Mm-hmm.
So, they've already really established themselves here.
Absolutely. So, when was the moment in your life that you fell in love with heavy metal?
Wow, I don't know if there's a.
If you knew, like for me, real briefly, I was visiting another kid that I had met at summer camp, and he wanted to play with Tonka trucks. I think I was like 12, and I heard this sound coming out of his older brother's room, and I come peek in, and it's like, what is that? And he's, oh, this is Deep Purple, Machine Head. And then all of a sudden I was like, I don't want to play Tonka trucks anymore. I want to hang out with your older brother. Is that okay?
Dude, that was the album.
Yeah.
That was the album. My mom had all the singers. She had like Barbra Streisand albums and Melissa Manchester albums. My dad had Steppenwolf, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, Cream, and he had Machine Head. And I learned the bass lines from Machine Head. The first song I ever learned all the way through was Space Trucking. So awesome. I learned that all the way through, and I had to buy a bass at that point. So I think that was it. I mean, I was already a Kiss fan, but I don't know if you can call that metal. But yeah, I mean, he's up there like fired.
Detroit Rock City, I could call metal. That song. I mean, you could pick out a couple of their songs and call them metal, but I wouldn't overall call them metal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, I was already a big Kiss fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, Machine Head, man, that was the first album that I really learned full songs, bass lines out of. So, and then, but I do also, I loved Ozzy, and I loved, Bob Daisley on the bass.
Oh, yeah.
But I had a friend when I was 12 years old, because I moved out from West Virginia stay with my mom, kind of moved back and forth. I was 12. And he gave me a copy of Killers, Iron Maiden Killers.
Oh, wow.
That made all the difference. That was like, as far as a bass player, it was just like, oh, I'm going over here now. Because
right.
A lot of that stuff was proto metal.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I get you. I mean, once you hear Steve Harris for the first time, it's like, it's kind of a game changer. You think about it differently. Right.
Oh yeah. And I was just off to the races. And so those first 5 albums, I bought all those albums and I learned all the bass lines. And then when Bruce Dickinson, of course, joined the band, I started singing along with him and just, I really kind of patterned myself after Dickinson, but also vocally, but also Ryan James Dio and let's see, Manowar, Eric Adams, Freddie Mercury. I don't mention him enough as an influence, but I did sing along. There were some records that I sang along with, like Mad.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody I just sang along with, they became an influence. Anybody I played along with, because it was all about playing and singing along with my records. That's what.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So you recently released a solo album under White Crone. Can we start there real briefly, and then we'll?
Yes.
Awesome. What can you say about kind of how that came about and how it led a little bit to Splintered Throne?
Yeah. I've been a blues artist for a long time, and I make records. That's what I do. I'm a recording artist, and I play gigs and travel and stuff like that. So I'm a member of the Recording Academy, and Ghost was up in the metal category, the metal performance. It's just a song category, which I think sucks. So hopefully that'll change. There'll be an album category. Mm-hmm. So I was voting that because I know metal. And I heard Cerise for the first time by Ghost. Mm-hmm. And I heard just from the opening guitar arpeggios, I was like, what is this? This is amazing. And I just thought it was an amazing songwriter. And also just this weird, like Mr. Friendly singer. And it just blew me away. And I started getting into their catalog and just thought their songwriting's so creative. And it just occurred to me, this guy doesn't give a fuck what anybody thinks. He's just writing the stuff he wants to write. And because he used to be like in a thrash band and a pop band. And so it just hit me like, oh, you mean you can just do what you want? And so after that, all this music just started coming out of me. It came out when I was driving, when I was showering, when I'm hiking in the woods or something, and I'd have to stop and just got this HiQ app on my phone, and I would just sing melodies, bass lines, whatever, guitar parts, whatever I heard. And then pretty soon I started putting things together in my DAW and just actually recording it, building it until I had, I don't know, a half dozen songs. And I started thinking, I think I should actually record this for real. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how it started. Just started oozing out because, like, I was, into metal in the 80s and, into the early 90s. But at that point in the 90s, I really started getting into like Rage Against the Machine, Mark King, Primus, Fishbone. I started slapping and popping. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And also into like James Jamerson and soul and stuff like that. So I just kind of went into a different direction in the 90s. So I kind of missed all of that shit. There's a lot of references people making is like.
Well, James Jamerson is my hero on the bass guitar. I still think the bass line on What's Going On is probably one of the best bass lines created.
Amen.
Musically.
Amen.
So, and I understand he played that completely shit-faced drunk laying on his back. With his eyes closed when he made it up. And I'm like, no, the best bass line in the world was by a guy completely drunk. And I'm like, oh, man, that's how good he was. So,
oh, yeah.
So you joined up with Splintered Throne. How did that happen?
Well, I was a fan. I'd still go to shows, metal shows.
Absolutely.
I saw them. I had seen them some other time before, but I saw them open it for the Dio Disciples. Mm-hmm. And I got Garrison's autograph on a Redline CD. That's their previous, release. And I just put it in my car. Yes, I have a CD player in my car. Yeah, I'm old. I don't care. But I loved it. Loved the songs. Loved the singer. Loved the band. And I saw them. I went to see Flotsam and Jetsam. And I didn't even know they were opening. And me and my friend, her name's Lisa too. We were in the front row. And Brian Garrison announced that he was leaving the band. And so she convinced me to talk to them and set up an audition. I did. And who knew? It happened. I got the gig.
Yeah. Well, if you don't go for it, you're not going to get it. Right.
And that was just before the pandemic, too. Uh-huh. So that really kind of threw a monkey wrench in things.
Well, the band just released a brand new album. The Greater Good of Man. Tell us a little bit about how that came together and how the pandemic affected it.
Yeah, well, I mean, this band, because I asked him, what I started out just like singing the songs from the old singer. And it had to do some massaging because he's a male vocalist. And so my voice is a little bit of a different range, though I have a fairly deep voice for a woman. But anyway, we decided we're going to do some songwriting, and they normally write as a group. They write in a room. Like one of them would come up with some riffs, and then they'll share them together and they write together. So that's a foreign concept to me. I always write by myself,
Right.
So, but we decided, okay, let's just file share. I mean, everybody's doing that. You send me, we'll do Dropbox, we transfer, whatever. And so Jason Moser is the main songwriter of the band. And he sent me these songs, they like complete songs. Some of them had been around for a little while. I think The Crossing, he had been kicking it up for some years. But some were just chunks of songs, which later would get massaged together over time. And sometimes we'd get together and mask up, open windows and stuff. But mostly I just wrote the lyrics and the vocal melodies at home. I would massage, because I'm a musician too, so I was able to change the chord structure, like in the Reaper is Calling chorus. It was a bit different when he sent it to me.
Right.
So I just tweaked that to fit the vocal line that I was hearing in my head. And we just started, just putting it together in our DAWs and passing it back and forth. And then by the time we got to everybody rehearsing together, they were almost complete songs. And we were putting all the window dressing on. And, hey, maybe we should go halftime right here. And, hey, maybe tag this ending on. It was a cool it was actually a very cool process.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, a lot of bands are doing that these days, especially with, the way things went with the pandemic. So many people and so many musicians now have their own either mini studio in their house or more. You know what I mean?
It's so much easier and so much less expensive than it used to be, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. It used to be like your record label would say, here's your money. You're going to go do in the studio. You're booked for these days. Right. You have to go in and knock out the record.
Yeah. And
all eyes on you and the time limit and the clock's ticking and all that stuff. So
yeah,
I think for some people, it's really, really opened up a lot of doors to put out records that they might not have been able to do.
Yeah, that's a fact. Now, we just did pre-production at home, but we did go into the studio. Right. But because we did all this pre-production, and that's what I do with my blues stuff too. And I work with the same guy, Kevin Hahn, Opal Studio, he has Primal Studio as well. And so we recorded at Primal and at Opal, and he's got great gear and he's fast, knocks him out. But, you're only going to be fast in the studio if you're prepared. So that whole process of putting together these files, just even if they sounded rough, like, just rough, unmixed stuff. Right. We were ready to go.
Yeah. I mean, you already knew what guitar parts you wanted. You knew where the vocals were going to be. You knew where you were going to put a harmony. You had all that stuff figured out before you walked in the door.
Yeah. Although Kevin's also a producer. So there are quite a few places on the record where he said, well, aren't you going to put a harmony there? And we're like, I don't know. I hadn't thought about that. He's like, why don't you try this? And we're like, yeah, dude, that really works. So he added a lot. He added a lot of.
Yeah, that's great when you have somebody that can help produce that has, outside looking in.
Yeah.
That isn't emotionally attached to any of the parts, right?
Yes, that's true too. And I couldn't have done White Crone, the Poisoner, without him because I'm not a guitar player. I don't know shit about guitar tones, guitar amps, nothing. So I don't know shit about plugins for guitar. It's just I'm clueless. But I taught myself how to play these things.
Right.
And so he helped me with that too. It's like, editing, a lot of editing for that. And he had a lot of cool ideas for that too.
Excellent. So I was going to say, how was the recording process? But we covered that. Do you guys have any plans to do a tour this year?
No, we don't have plans for a tour. We like to do, shorter in and out kind of things. A lot of bands are doing that nowadays. I'm doing that with my blues thing too. But we would like to try to get some gigs in Europe if we can. We're going to be looking for some metal festivals too next year. It's just a matter of really right now getting that record into as many eardrums as we can. That's really what we're focusing on now, is because it's almost like we're a new band.
Right.
And we have a new guitar player too, Matt Dorado. So, the sound is a bit different. Of course, having a female vocalist is different.
It changes everything for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's almost like we're fresh and new, trying to get that engine started,
Yeah. So if you could get on a tour with a big name, like any big name, who would be the perfect one to promote Splintered Throne?
Gosh, I don't know.
If you just think for a second. Yeah. Just like if you could get on a metal tour, whose audience would be your audience?
Haunt would be great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be really great. Gosh, I don't know. There's some other female fronted bands out there.
There's some great ones.
Great. That would be great to get on a tour as well.
Yeah, there's so many great European female fronted bands, and there's some good ones in America too. Yeah. I just saw Grave Shadow not long ago. I don't know if you know them, but
Avatarium's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if I'm pronouncing that right. Yeah, I don't know, man. Anything that's like old school. Of course, everybody would want to get on like Iron Maiden or something like that. You'd want to get on the biggest tour possible.
Yeah, that goes without saying. Yes, open for Priest, open for Maiden, open for.
Oh yeah.
Anybody like that?
Oh yeah, or like Anthrax, Accepted,
mm-hmm.
Bay Area thrash type stuff too. Mm-hmm. I think we're compatible with.
Absolutely.
Well, excellent.
Okay, I was just going to ask, so what else does 2022 have in store for Splintered Throne and Lisa Mann?
Well, yeah, we're just booking some gigs. We've got some regional shows.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking ahead into, because, some of these festivals, they book well ahead of time. So we're looking into spring, summer, fall next year to be getting on some metal festivals.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, we're promoting the hell out of the CD. We're getting a lot of traction in Europe. I'm responsible of packing and sending the Bandcamp merch, and I'm sending a lot of stuff to Germany, a lot of stuff to the UK.
Sweet.
So that's really cool to see, making a footprint out there.
Sweet.
And for myself, for White Crone, I have these songs sitting here, in my hard drive.
Mm-hmm.
I have about 5 songs that are almost like done, like in skeletal form. But I've been focusing on Splintered Throne. I'm also going to do some songwriting with my blues partner, Jason Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I normally write my blues stuff by myself, but we're going to schedule some time in his music room and start passing some ideas back and forth, because I just love the ideas he comes up with. I love the songs that he writes. So, I'm just looking forward to getting back to that creative process again.
So when you first did White Crone, I remember you were announcing it, and a lot of your blues fans were like, what the heck? You're playing heavy metal? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of them seemed like really shocked at everything. And I mean, I already knew that you were into heavy metal, because of our past.
Yeah.
Playing with Matt McCourt. But there were so many people that were like, huh?
Oh, there were a bunch that were like, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
There were a whole bunch that were like that. And I really want to thank American Blues Scene, because they did the premiere, and they were the first to cover White Crone.
Mm-hmm.
And because JD there, he really likes all kinds of music, rock, hard rock, blues, everything. So that was really cool to kind of do it was almost like a human interest story, almost, about like a blues musician who's doing something like this and
branching out.
How do you get from there to here? And it talked about like the history of metal and how it's related to the blues,
mm-hmm.
So there really isn't. And like I did the cover of Stargazer with Alistair Green. He's a blues rock artist.
Wow.
Alistair Green on guitar and Vinny on the drums.
When did you do that one?
That I did last year. So check it out. There's a cover of Stargazer.
Is it out?
It's out. It's been out, man.
Is it out under White Crone then?
It's out under White Crone. It's on Spotify. It's all over the place.
We're talking about
damn, dude. I guess I didn't do too good of a job of promoting that thing.
We're talking about the Rainbow song.
The Rainbow song, Stargazer, Vinny Appice on drums.
Wow.
Me on the bass and vocals.
I will.
Alistair Green on the guitar.
Okay. Well, hey, plug your album. Where do we find you? Where are you on social media? What do you got?
I got both of them right here. So White Crone, whitecrone.com, whitecrone.bandcamp.com. Take the CD home with you. I also do low-cost shipping to Europe. I just take the plastic tray out. Still has a booklet and everything. This is the Splintered Throne. This is it. We got pictures in there. We got thank yous. Here's a lovely picture of us floating around. Actually, the fire is burning our asses. But take this with you. We got patches. We got shirts. We got stickers. We might throw some freebie stuff in there when you order something. And it helps finance. It will help finance our trip to Europe.
Absolutely.
Our future trip to Europe that we intend to do.
Yeah, with all this streaming going on and it's so hard to make music, I'm always encouraging people to, get your trophy, own something that's going to put some money back into the people's hands that are making the music that you love.
Amen.
So,
money.
Is there anything that we missed that you wanted to add?
I think that's about it.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah.
I'll just say thanks again for being my guest, Lisa Mann of Splintered Throne. The new album, The Greater Good of Man, is out now. Check it out. Buy it. You'll be glad you did.
That's right.
Awesome.